A lot of you guys are getting that signal, but you don't know what to do with it. This is what you are experiencing. This is you awakening. And this is the knowledge you need to know in order for you to awaken.
Wake up. You've been programmed, but you are more. You are light. You are energy. You are God within. This is divine alignment. I am your guide, and I can only give you the truth.
Welcome, divine seekers. Seekers of truth. Seekers of authenticity. Seekers of purpose. Seekers of passion. Seekers of their mission. Seekers of their dreams. Seekers of the divine. Welcome to you all. This message is for you. This lesson is for you. In today's lesson, I am going to help you become self-aware, and we're going to embark on a journey of self-awareness, because as I mature and as I continue to move through life, the number one thing that I see, which is a huge void in the world, there is a huge lack, a profound lack of self-awareness. And it is the cause of so much suffering and pain. And I too experience a level of suffering, and I wanted to understand my truth and who I am outside of my societal titles and my societal roles. I wanted to find that out for myself, because I always saw and knew that I had a calling on my life to teach, and I didn't know how to get there, but I was deeply desiring to. And I had to go within, and I made a covenant with my higher power, and I said, if you show me the way to my truth, to myself, then I'll write the process down and share it with the world. And as I wrote this process down, I realized that so many people need this. This is profoundly missing. And that is what I bring with you today. And that is what divine alignment is. It's the knowledge that you need in order to become your highest and wisest version of yourself, in finding your passion, understanding your purpose, being on your mission. These are the steps that I've taken, the process that I've developed in order for me to stand before you today in my truth and my authenticity, speaking and giving you lessons based on my unique mental frameworks. And that is what this platform is. It's teaching you what you need to know, because so many people say, it's kind of like it's regurgitated. And so many people say the same thing is, oh, you got to be self-aware. If you want to go live your dreams, you need to know who you are. You need to, find your purpose. The thing is that no one is really saying, well, what do I need to know in order to find my purpose? What do I need to know in order to know who I am? What makes me? What are the different parts? What are the different pieces? What is the knowledge? What is the data I need to collect in order to know who I am? That is the information that is missing. That is the information that I went to go seek. And my highest and wisest self, this person that you see standing in front of you, was guiding me to this point where I'm showing up today in this way. And when you go on this journey of self-awareness, it is like an awakening, because you're going to learn and discover things about yourself that you didn't know was there, because in the society that we live in, it is not taught. It is not taught. And so that's why this is such a profound lack, which is why I am here to help fill that. With every journey, it starts with a question. Who am I? It starts with a question. It is important that you become aware of how powerful a question is. What is a question? What is its relationship to you? How does it affect you? And why? do you need to understand what a question is? Why do you need to know this information? The reason why is because self-awareness starts with a question. So in this lesson today, we are going to break down what is a question. When you understand, when you become aware, self-aware of yourself, you start to learn about who you are, what you're made of, the power that you have. When you become aware of these things about yourself, you learn that you are an energetic being and you are made of energy, and your mind processes information and it functions on a frequency. And so when you think about what is a question is a signal that enters your mind. A question is a signal that enters your mind and activates your inner senses. Your inner senses. Okay, so now we're getting into the mechanics and the functions of your mind. This is the type of information that we should be taught in school. This information you're about to hear, that I'm going to give, this data I am giving is going to be new to you because we don't understand how our own mind functions. We don't understand how we process information. We don't understand who and what we are as human beings, as divine beings. And the reason why we don't understand that is because there are people that do and that are controlling and manipulating us so that they can extract our resources. They are controlling our reality, programming they understand how our minds work, and they are programming our realities, and we experience a collective reality. But this is what we need to know. What are your inner senses? What is a question signaling? It's signaling your inner senses, and your inner senses is something that we also call your inner guidance system. People also call it your inner compass. So your inner guidance system, your inner compass is also called your inner being. This is your inner being. Your inner being is made up of your vision, the visions that you have, your hearing, the voices that you're hearing, the sounds that you're hearing, your feelings, which is this: if you feel sad or joyful, do you feel fearful, anxiety, do you have anxiety, shocks to the gut, shocks to the heart? The best way to help you understand what your inner being is, I'm going to draw it out for you. Okay? So, all right, my drawing skills. Drawing is not a strength of mine. Drawing is not a strength. Let me just draw it a little longer to make this more equal. Okay. So let's say someone has a shirt on and some pants. Okay? And this is we're going to call this your outer being. And this is your inner being. This is your inner being. Now, your outer being. So when you become self-aware, you learn that you are made of energy, and our human bodies sense frequency. And as a human being, we sense frequency, we sense energy with our different senses. We have 5 of them. We have sight. We can see things with our eyes. We can see light, different spectrums, different color spectrums. We can see light with our senses. That's one of the senses that we have. We can hear with our ears. We hear sounds, we hear voices. We can hear, like I can hear the cars outside. I can hear the children outside. I can see this whiteboard. I can see my desk. I can see the camera. We also have feelings. We feel our way. It's another sense. We sense energy. I can feel this marker in my hand. I can feel the whiteboard. I can feel my desk. We also have smell. That's another sense. We sense smell. We can sense our world as a human being. The way we navigate the world is through our senses. We sense our way through it. And our bodies are used as a technology for us to do that. We also taste. We taste our way. We can taste different chemicals. So just like we have an outer being, we also have an inner being. We have inner sight, which are our visions, our imagination. Our visions and imaginations, our dreams. We have inner sight. We can see them. We can see parts of our future. We can see our dreams. We can see things that we've experienced. We can go into the past within our minds. We have inner sight. We have inner hearing. We can hear. We have inner voices that we hear. We have sounds that we can hear. Some of us been scrolling on TikTok for a long time, and we keep hearing the same sound over and over again that's being used. We have voices that we hear. Which voice are you hearing? It's your voice. Some of us have other people's voices in our minds because we've been doom scrolling all day. We hear different voices of our childhood. Different voices of the ego, different voices of your highest and wisest self, your highest faculties. Which voice are you hearing? We hear a voice within our minds. We also have inner feelings. We can feel. These is our emotions. Emotions is energy in motion. Makes us feel a certain way. Do we feel sad? Do we feel fear? You can feel energy within. You can feel your stomach hurting, even though you don't see it on the outside. You can feel your heart pounding. You can feel a shock to your heart, shock to your gut when you have anxiety. You can feel that your energy is off. We feel happy, sad, joyful. These are different. This is our inner being is made of. We also have inner smell. We can smell things that are not there. We have inner tastes. We can taste different foods that we've experienced. We can taste different things that we've tried and that we can remember. We have inner tastes, inner preferences. We have different tastes. That is our inner being. And all of this together creates your intuition. When you become self-aware, the first thing that you need to understand is the power of a question. What is a question and how does it affect you? Because everything starts with a question. And the question is, who am I? That was the first question I asked when I started to wake up and go on this journey of learning who I am. Now that we understand what is your inner being, what divine alignment is, it's being able to identify the God within you, which is your highest and wisest faculty, your highest and wisest version of yourself, the voice within you that brings peace, calm, and the motivating spirit, energy, emotions, hormones through your body. And there's a voice within you, your highest faculty that is within you. But in society, in the matrix, we're programmed to not follow that. But that is the voice that I followed, and it led me on a journey. So let's go into the next part of this lesson, which is, why do we ask questions? As a divine being, this is divine alignment, where you become self-aware so you can discover your mission, your purpose, your truth, your passions. I wanted to know all these things about me, and I wrote down my process. Now I'm showing up in this way. So let's get into why we ask questions. Why do we ask them? The truth is simple. It's because we come here with no memory. Because we come here with no memory. We come here with no memory. Think about it. You're born onto this planet. Your mother birthed you, came through the portal, came through the womb, got birthed into this planet, and now you're here. You don't know what the trees, you see some trees, you don't know what they are. You see the plants, you don't know what that is. You see the animals, you don't know what the animals mean. You see a sun, you see a star, you see this bright entity, object in the sky, you see clouds, you see a moon, you see stars, you see all these things, and you don't know what it means. You don't even know who you are. We are born into a world with no instructions. And that's another reason why we ask them, because we're not taught. We are not taught. We are not taught who we truly are. And because we're not taught who we truly are in this society, you can spend 20 years in the education system and still not know who you truly are and what are the different components that makes up your being, who you are. What is the knowledge you need to know? You'll never know it. You'll never know it. I was researching to see how many hours do we contribute to the education system from kindergarten to high school. And it equivalated to it's like going to school 6-7 hours a day, for all those years. It's like 16,000 hours that we put into 16,000 hours of our lives that we're putting into education system. And by the time we get out, we still don't know what our purpose is. We don't know what makes us us. We don't know what these voices are in our minds. We don't understand how our minds work. We don't understand how our reality is created. And since we're not taught these things, we got to go seek it ourselves. We have to go seek the answer ourselves, since we don't know. And the biggest thing is this: questions puts you on a quest. Questions put you on a quest. This is why you are a seeker. This is why I opened up with the intro of welcome seekers, divine seekers, seekers of truth. Because what we are here to do is to ask the question, because it sparks our inner being. It activates our inner being. And it takes us on a quest, a journey of self-awareness. And that is what happened with me. I asked a question, who am I? And it activated my inner being, and I went within and I heard a voice that was guiding me, and I was following it, and it led me to where I'm now showing up to you today with my unique message, with my unique lessons, showing up in my uniqueness. And I am now sharing my process, my journey, my mental frameworks, my data points. It puts you on a quest. And that is what this is. This is a quest to discover you. This is what divine alignment is. So let's now move into the process, the steps that you take to get to the answer. So from the moment you get a question, the signal, now what is the steps that your mind takes? Because you must understand the functions of your mind. When you get a question, there's some functionings, there's some functions that happen in order for you to get the answer. And that is what we're going to get into now. How does it work? How does a question work? It works in 4 steps. There's 4 steps that takes place to get from signal to answer. Step 1. Your mind receives a signal. You're probably sitting at work and you're like, you know what? It doesn't matter what job I get, it's not going to be fulfilling. And you're probably thinking like, I want to be able to live my life based off of who I am, my passions, doing my passions and fulfilling my purpose. And so you're like, you're done, being on this rat race of life. You're done existing in the matrix, and you're like, you want out. You're done with the programming. You're done with what the society is offering. You don't want it. And so you start to think like, dang, then who am I? Who am I outside of my societal titles? That's a signal to your mind. Who am I? Step 2. Then you redirect your attention, your focus inward. Step 2, you redirect your attention inward. So when that question hit me like, dang, who am I, yo? Like, who am I? Sometimes we stop. Sometimes we put our head down and we close our eyes. What are we doing? We're going inward. We're now focusing inward. We're putting our attention inward. Sometimes you'll daydream. That's what that is. It's you daydream. You start to have inner visions, inner voices. You start to hear different things. Or you might be blank because you haven't developed the mental framework of how to get the answer. So you may come up with nothing. Sometimes we think about who am I, and you coming up short. You're like, I don't know who I am outside of my societal titles. I don't know who I am outside of being a mom, a coworker, a student, a daughter, a cousin, a realtor, a professional. I don't know who I am outside of that. Step 3. Your intuition activates. Your intuition activates. This is now your inner being activated. So now you got your inner being activated. What is your inner being? It is the inner visions that you have. It's the visions. It's the imagination. You start to see, like, who am I? When I started to ask myself, like, who am I? Who do I want to be? Like, who is this woman? I would see this person standing in front of you today. I would see this woman who is teaching, who is on stage. And I didn't know how to get there. So I made a covenant, a promise to my highest faculty, to the God within. And I said, if you show me how to get there, I'll write the process down and share it with the world. I'll teach it. Your inner being activates. Now you're having inner visions. And when you understand how your reality is created, which is you have a vision, and when you put your attention into a vision, when you put attention into a vision, it gets transformed into a chemical. That chemical is a hormone that floods your body. That is now energy in motion, and that makes you feel a certain way. Now you feel happy, sad. If a thought makes you feel fear and anxiety, you might feel stuck. You get stuck. You don't want to move on that. You don't want to act on that. Something might make you may think about your future and who you're going to become, who you want to be, your highest and wisest version of yourself. And you might get a hormone cocktail of motivation, inner motivation, a cocktail of positive oxytocin, dopamine. You're getting a different mixture of hormones flooding your body. It makes you feel a certain way. And then that is how you act. That is what you then do. You behave a certain way based on how you feel. So when you understand how your reality is created, in step 3, your intuition activates. Your inner being activates. And so you're starting to have visions of your highest and wisest self. And you're starting to follow that. And now you're starting to hear a voice. Remember, it's inner hearing. You have inner hearing. You're hearing a voice. You're hearing a voice within you. And that voice is guiding you now. And it's saying, read this book. Watch this video. Listen to this podcast. Ask this question. And now you're being guided. This is why they call this your inner compass. This is why they call this your inner guiding system. Because when you ask a question, who am I? You then you redirect your attention to activate your intuition. And now you're starting to have the vision of your highest and wisest self. And it's making you do the things you need to do to achieve that. And you're hearing a voice that is guiding you, telling you what book to read, what questions to ask, what to research, who to talk to. Now you're being guided. And it's making you have these feelings, emotions of peace. You know everything's going to be okay because you know who you are. Motivation. Joy, because you are fulfilling your passion, doing things that you love to do. Because you're following that voice that's telling you to do this, go here, do that. Which leads to step 4. You go on your quest of seeking from listening to your intuition, which is also your inner being. which is also your inner compass, you go on a quest to collect knowledge. That knowledge is also data. That data builds a mental framework from experiences which develops your inner standing, which some of us also call it understanding. Which is also your truth. So, from your intuition being activated, you're starting to see visions. You're following the visions of your highest and wisest self. You're following the voice of your highest and wisest self. And it's flooding you with a mixture of hormones and it's making you feel a certain way, peace and inner motivation. You then go from listening to your intuition, your inner being, your inner compass. You're collecting knowledge. You're collecting data, which builds a mental framework of experiences. See, that inner being, that voice within you was saying to go watch this YouTube video, go read this book, go ask this question. You're now doing the work, having these experiences, and every experience is building a mental node, a neuron within your mind. And it's now building. Now from that, you gain data. That's a data point. Then it's telling you to go pick up that book. You read that book. That's another data point. You're now collecting all this data and information and building a mental framework within your mind from these experiences, in which essentially that is how you develop understanding truth. So now when I asked the question, who am I got the answer. Because I went through the process, I went through the journey, went on the quest to seek the answer. Because what that eventually is it's because we are meant, this is our purpose. This is our purpose, is to evolve our being. We came here to evolve our being, to have certain experiences, because those experiences are data points, nodes within our mind that builds mental frameworks. This is how we develop understanding our truth. This is how we develop it. So this is why a question is so important, because you need to understand that when we ask that question, when that signal hits our mind, you need to understand what it is. It's a signal. It's a signal signaling you. A lot of you guys are getting that signal, but you don't know what to do with it. This is what you are experiencing. This is you awakening. And this is the knowledge you need to know in order for you to awaken. You need to know what's happening to you. You need to be aware. You need to be self-aware. This is the science. The science. I'm breaking down your inner being and the functioning of it, the mechanics of it, the systematic processes that are at work that you're not aware of because you're not taught this, because we are conditioned to be economic slaves in the matrix. But your purpose is to evolve your being. And this is how you evolve. We evolve through development, through growth. We have to develop into this. Now, when I ask a question, I know who I am. I know what makes me who I am. I know that I am consisted of my strengths, my values, my traits, my character. And I know what gives me my value is my life lessons. These 4 things make me who I am. Makes up the different parts of me. I know what I am. I went on a journey to seek that truth, that I'm multidimensional, energetic light being. When I asked that question, what am I? It activated my inner power, my higher power. It activated my inner being. And I started to hear a voice that was guiding me. And I was following that voice, and it was taking me to do different things, read different things, talk to certain people. And I would follow that voice. And the more I kept following that voice, the more I started to find more and more about myself. To where now I'm showing up in this way. So in the next part, we're going to get into how this relates to us as human beings, as divine beings. How does a question relate to us? How does it relate to us? How does it affect us? We didn't come here with a manual. We didn't come here with a manual. We didn't come here with a manual. There are certain books that are out there, but they don't break down information like this. They don't teach you how to connect with your highest faculties. They don't break down what they are and how to find it and the pathway to find it. They don't break it down. They don't tell you what these thoughts are. They don't tell you how your reality is created. They don't teach you these things. You're not going to find this anywhere, because every part of the matrix is built and designed with a function to keep you asleep, to keep you unaware of the truth. Because if you knew the truth, if you understood how your reality is created, then you can no longer be controlled. You can no longer be manipulated. And since we didn't come here with a manual, asking questions helps us navigate the world. Asking questions helps us navigate the world, because we are living in a 3-dimensional realm, and our bodies are meant to sense energy. And we sense it on 5 different levels. We have 5 senses. And through asking questions, it activates our inner being, because our inner being has the answers. Our inner being is connected to the ethers. We see different spectrums. We only have a limited vision, limited hearing, because of this realm that we're in. But our inner being has infinite access, because your energy is infinite. It's infinite potential. And your inner being has your purpose. It has your mission. It has who you are. It has what you're made of. It has the lessons from your experience. It has the answers to what you're seeking. And asking questions activates your intuition. It activates your highest and wisest version of yourself, your highest faculties. And when you follow that, you find your truth. You connect with your mission, your purpose, your passion, your mission. Helps you navigate the world. You don't know what the trees are. You don't know what the star means. You don't know your relationship to it. You don't know your relationship to the animals and to the insects. You don't know. So you have to ask the questions. So that's how we navigate the world. We sense our way. We use our inner being, our inner senses. And by seeking knowledge and collecting data to get the answer, We then develop mental frameworks. We develop a mental framework that gets built into our minds. And that is understanding. Also called understanding. So when I ask a question, I already went through the process of getting the answer. I've developed a mental framework. I could tell you right off the bat who I am. I could tell you off the bat what I'm made of. I could tell you right off the bat what is my potential. These are the questions that is programmed into every human being, no matter your race, no matter your status, no matter your class, no matter where you were born on the planet. I'm so grateful for the teachings of Dr. Miles Monroe, because when I started asking the question, who am I? My higher power was guiding me to where I came across his books and his teachings. And his teachings resonated with me, and it helped me understand that in order for me to wake up to my truth, to who I really am and my purpose, and understand the visions, I have to awaken, and I have to ask certain questions that is programmed into my being. And I started to ask those questions, and it activated my higher power, my inner being, my highest faculties. And it was telling me to read this, watch that. And I followed it. And I'm now showing up before you today, offering my unique message, my unique lessons, my frameworks. So it helps us navigate the world. And by seeking that knowledge and collecting that data to get the answer, we develop a mental framework, which in turn evolves our being. Because that is our purpose. So I know this information is very new. I know that I'm quite excited to have gotten to this point where I've transformed into, not knowing who I am, to now I am connected with who I am. I'm connected to my mission, my purpose. I know my message. I know what I'm here to do. I know how I'm here to do it. I am connected fully. I am aligned with my divinity. I'm aligned with my higher power. This information is needed. Being self-aware is needed. And this is what I share with you on Divine Alignment. So every week I plan to give a lesson. More likely it'll be on Sundays, where on Sundays I will post a lesson. And the next lesson is, now that we understand the power of the question and how it relates to us and why it's important and the steps, how we process it, we're going to now get into, well, who am I? We're going to now answer those 6 existential questions that is programmed into every human being. And we're going to get into your awakening. And we're going to work out of the workbook that I created, which is answering, who are you? Outside of your societal titles, what are the things that make you who you are? And the process that I took to get that answer. What are you? Outside of you being a human, what are you? What are the things that make you who you are? Where did you come from before you were on this planet, before you were birthed onto this planet? Where were you? Where did you come from? What is your purpose? What did you come here to do? We didn't all just come here to, go to school, get a degree, work for somebody else, build up these corporations, build up these companies, and then retire at an elderly age and then transition off the planet. I mean, we came here. If that was the case, more of us would be at peace and have more joy and be fulfilled. A lot of us are not, and we're suffering. If getting a job, getting a degree and getting a job to earn a certain lifestyle, to obtain materials, house, car, neighborhood, clothing, a lifestyle, if that is what we're supposed to obtain and achieve, then why is it that so many of us get there and feel unfulfilled? It's because we have a different purpose. We come here for a different purpose. And that information has been intentionally hidden from us. What is your potential? How far can you go? And what is the visions that is within your mind? And that is the next step, is we are getting into the awakening. I'm going to help you wake up to your truth. And I'm going to give you the information that you need in order to awaken to your truth. And that is what divine alignment is. So if this resonates with you, which I'm sure it has, you made it this far, subscribe. So that way you will know when I put out a next video. And also share this with somebody who is also awakening as well. So until next time, continue on your quest, seekers.